Today, within this video, we're going to be talking about the Twisted Masquerade event for this year. I first want to start by giving a bit more of an overview of it, with the Twisted Masquerade being from June 13th to July 4th. Now, after a week of the event, I kind of want to break it down to say, is it better than last year's or is it worse than last year's? Instead of going straight into detail on the event itself, we're going to look at the gameplay details first. So, with the gameplay details this year, we've had the introduction of Bag of Tricks, where last year I believe it was more like a blood point event. This year, there's a full-on side game mode for it, where Bag of Tricks will apply the effects of these 9 cards each time 2 actions are completed within the game. Those actions being the completion of a gen or the hooking of a survivor. So either side, killer or survivor, can change when the cards are played, in a way. Because it requires 2 of these events, so a gen completion or a hooking of a survivor for one of these cards to then be played. At the very start of a match, a random card will be played from anything from giving you an invitation charge to suppressing the killer's terror radius and your survivor's scratch marks for 30 seconds. While looking at these, you can probably say that the game is pushed to more towards the killer side of things, with cards played like heal yourself, heal you, and expose you. Basically healing a survivor, but that they all get exposed. So imagine you've just been hit by the killer, and then you get that initial sprint burst, and the killer catches up to you again. Just as this card is played, you heal that health state, but if the killer then hits you again within 30 seconds, you're downed anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. You then also have the fact that we have wait where, being the killer's terror radius is suppressed, but then you could say it's balanced out by saying that the scratch marks of the survivors are also hidden for those 30 seconds. I now want to get into the abilities of the invitations for both sides. We have the chance of a survivor blocking a vault. So basically it's like the survivor has the perk Bamboozle, but it's also the fact that the survivor has to choose to block the vault. So they'd still have to go through the window, but if the killer's right behind them, the killer could already be coming through the window as they try to block it. Hence, not allowing that to happen. We then have Set a Party palette, which is basically a one-time use palette which can be placed around the map and takes the charge of an invitation. And the best way to put it, it's probably a very weak part of the survivor side of things, because the only time it's ever useful is if you actually manage to stun the killer with it. It doesn't stop the killer from chasing you or anything like that like a normal pallet does. The killer doesn't have to break it because it automatically breaks itself. And then we get Quiet Mode, which basically combines stuff like Iron Will, Bite the Bullet, and all those sorts of things together. So it combines different perks together to reduce grunts of pain, footstep noises, fast actions, and pools of blood for only 15 seconds. The thing I don't like with this bit is it's only 15 seconds. why only 15 seconds? Because 15 seconds in a Dead by Daylight match is literally, it feels like it's 5 seconds in normal time. It's the best way to put it. Now moving on to the killer side of things. And this is where things change. They have the chance to endure a stun, which reduces stun duration by 50% for the next 4 seconds. So you stun them with a pallet, and I think there's actually a perk. I think it's called, is it Enduring? I believe it's called Enduring. Enduring? Is that the one for pallets? There you go. You reduce the duration of a pallet stun by 50%. And has no effect while carrying a survivor. I don't know if it stacks or not, but if that stacks with the Enduring Stun Invitation ability, that stun is nothing. There is no stun to be endured. We then also have the fact that the killer can destroy pallets without actually having to do the break action. So someone could literally drop a pallet, instantly break it. Basically meaning they still have that bloodlust of running after you, and bam, you can still be downed instantly. Which works in the same way as Party Pallet being quite useless. And then we have the part of the killer side, which I have seen people on TikTok agree with me on this, is pretty much like cheating, and that is remote hook. Remotely hooks a down survivor to the nearest available hook. Which pretty much means, oh look, the survivor has boil over, doesn't matter, remote hook. You want to do a flashlight save? Remote hook, so it doesn't count. Certain parts of the stuff, like, oh, you probably have as well Power Struggle as a survivor perk, which requires a certain amount of the wiggle bar to be completed before you can actually pull a pallet down to stun the killer. Well, that doesn't matter anymore because the killer can just pick you up and remote hook. I hope people are getting my point here, that remote hook is something that whoever made it clearly was a killer main for the devs. They have no like of survivors, because anything the survivors can do to stop you picking up a survivor, to stop you from getting to a hook, it's all cancelled out by the fact that the killer can literally pick you up if they have an invitation, bam, remote hook. So I hope people are understanding what I mean by remote hook is practically, kind of feels like cheating. It's overly done. And then I also want to talk about the fact that some people will be like, but the entire event will give survivors more blood points because the bonus 150% never actually moves. I don't know if it moves while I'm offline, but whenever I'm online, the 150% bonus has never gone to the killer side. People will try and be like, but that makes it more fair because they're getting less blood points. But the fact that within this event, more killers are tunneling, they're proxy camping to ensure they get the 4K. Yeah, they're all playstyles, I will admit that. I don't discard them as playstyles. But the increase of them when no one can actually stop tunneling at the moment, you can't stop the proxy camping, and let's say a killer decides to use NOED, you're still screwed because if you were to say someone gets hooked, well, if you've taken out all the totems, you're still going to get affected by heal you, expose you, if that's the last card that gets played in the match. And this might just sound like I'm moaning about the killer side of things, but someone has a killer main, who plays a lot of Survivor as well, I do have to say, it's a lot more killer-sided. Bearing in mind the whole remote hook. And it's not just the remote hook side of things that increase it being killer-sided. It's the increase in tunneling, camping, proxy camping, and the decrease compared to last year of the farming killers. In the past week of playing this event, I've only seen one killer who has allowed the survivors to farm and been nice to the survivors, which admittedly they technically shouldn't do. But still, last year there was a dramatic increase of farming killers. And now this year, it's like you'll find one farming killer in a week. I don't know if that says more about my matches or if that's matches overall. But last year you could be coming out of matches with like 280k blood points per match. Which, when you look at that as leveling a survivor, it corresponds to at least, on average you say about 20 to 30k per level. Then you come out with at least 7 or 8 levels, possibly, allowing you to prestige your characters so much quicker. So far in the past week, I've only managed to prestige, I think it's like 4 people to P3. Because in this event, I've done Dwight to P3, I've done Astri P3, I've done Jane to P3. I think that's it. I've only managed 3 people in the past week. Even though I've only spent about 2 or so hours on the game because of streaming. Reminder to those who want to, the link for my Twitch is in the description down below. But I've only managed those couple of people in those hours. So you may as well say that's 2, 4, 6. Oh, and then Cape 1 prestige. That's 7 prestiges. Whereas last year there was an increase of people getting P100 this, P100 that. And they could start from like P10 and just rapidly go through those prestiges. It's the same on the killer side. Like, killers are now probably getting tons more blood points from their 4Ks because they're just choosing to tunnel, camp, not be nice to survivors in any way possible. Like, not that I'm complaining, I haven't really touched the killer side yet, but I will admit that remote hooking and that sort of stuff just feels like they decided this event needs to be more killer-sided. So we're going to put in a gameplay mechanic that people will complain about, and we're not going to worry about it. Because the whole point of the event is apparently to have fun. But remote hooking takes out all the fun for survivors. But this has been what I will call a very good rant. Because I can't complain, to be honest, because the collection items so far... Oh, there's one thing I do want to point out as well. So, on the first day of the event, Xbox couldn't get the event. And then behaviour for... So Xbox haven't had it for 24 hours. Because they then got it on the Saturday. I think it was the Saturday they got it on. Was it the Friday? It was Friday or Saturday. And they were like, well, we're going to give you a certain amount of the in-game currency. So the currency that they will get anyway from just doing the Twisted Masquerade. Just doing the Twisted Masquerade Rift. Or no, Tome, I mean. Doing the Tome. They'll get that currency anyway. And we'll also give them 3 million blood points. No one else gets these 3 million blood points. Just Xbox. And they try to make their game, say they make their game as fair as possible, but throwing out in-game currency that they'll get through the event anyway, and 3 million blood points to Xbox. That's apparently fair. But I want to know your guys' thoughts in the the comment section down below. Let me know if you're enjoying the event, what you think of the event, and also, do you feel like remote hooking is unfair and basically cheating? For now, I'll thank everyone for watching, but I will see everyone next time.
They tell us lies and